I think the ultimate thing is whether it's a Ford or a Dodge, or I mean obviously even we consider all the Chevy trucks. I mean I think the C10 thing kind of gets where it's like, oh, C10, whether it's a, a Tri 5, a first design, advanced design, whether it's a task force, whether it's a early C10, even if it's a Ford or a Dodge. I mean, to me, if it's on the road and it's still going today, I mean, even it's crazy to think that like 90s trucks are now considered a classic. And I know that's hard to
2000, buddy.
yeah, it's hard to believe, and so any old truck on the road is good. And I just love seeing old trucks on the road. So whether or not it's a C10 or again a Dodge, a D100, an F100, F150, I think the community for the in general, and for you guys, you've seen it, right? So you've seen the Camaros were so popular, and I can't even imagine if you went through and looked at how many windshields you sold for each different era and each different style of cars and trucks. And now when you're like, okay, the C10 world, the square body world, obviously the 67 72s were so popular for so long, and I still think that they're the king, but the square bodies are getting very popular. And then the
Well,
OBS is coming on hot.
yeah, the OBS is what we're getting to next, but that's a hard decision because the glass, do you make glass for it? Because the door moldings kind of mold into that glass. So you'd have to eliminate that, which I think would cause wind noise. But going back to your Camaro statement and your C10 statement, the Camaros and C10s basically go back and forth on who's hotter.
I don't know.
One month the Camaro
really
will be
impressed.
hotter, and then next month the C10s will beat them by 10. It's like that's crazy if you think about it.
I'm really impressed with the truck market. Those guys have stepped up like you would not believe, and they are spending some ridiculous
Well,
amounts of money on their truck. It's very impressive.
Look at Barrett Jackson. I mean, they're getting 500 grand for these things now.
Yeah,
My Blazer now today, I imagine. I can't imagine what I get for it now.
yeah. And for the audience, why don't you walk us back through that build and when you debuted that build and kind of the story of that build?
Well, the Blazer. So we want. I was Brian McCormick at Street Trucks built a Blazer back in late '80s, early '90s, I guess it probably was, and it's something I always liked, but I never thought it pushed the envelope enough. And at the time, everybody was trying to razor window everything, and I hate that look on the trucks. I think it's a terrible design, it's a terrible look, it's not safe. So we basically took the Roadster. I always loved Boyd when I was a kid. Everything that Boyd built was always so flowing and smooth and just crisp lines. And so we're like, well, why don't we take a Blazer? Because I'd done the truck prior, the 67 C10. I did that 20 years ago.
Was that the red one?
Yeah, the red one. We did that one 20 years ago. And that was way over the top for the time of what we built. It had LS. It was one of the first LS motors from GM. We worked with GM Performance on that to get it all working properly. Then we went back to GM Performance and said, let's take it up a notch. And we had a custom racing chassis built by Jim Meyer Racing. And he fought me the whole way through the chassis saying that he didn't like this, didn't like that. And I'm like, just trust me, it's going to be something different that no one has ever done before. And it still today, that's the most advanced frame I've ever built on a car. I literally could drive it on the street like a go-kart, and it handled better than anything else I've ever built. It was more fun to drive. The attention it would draw at the shows was absolutely insane. I mean, like you said, going to Barrett Jackson and seeing that in person for the first time after when we originally built it, we were told by Trucking Magazine that it would never even, we'd be lucky if we could get a feature in the magazine. And I'm like, well, we're going to build it to a whole, I went back and forth with a bunch of editors on the colors, and they always said, red and black or what if you want to be, you got to have a red or black truck. And I'm like, no, we're going to push the envelope. And so we picked an Austin Martin color. I think it was from a 2000, roughly in that area, early 2000 color. And we went with that. And I kept pushing the body farther and farther and kind of reshaping everything. And not one panel was untouched on that. And when you look at it now, you're like, oh, it looks like a stock Blazer. But I mean, there's probably been 30 built now from that one. So I don't want to say we were the ones that caused it, because I got the idea from someone else and kind of took it and just ran with a different body with it.
Yeah, I think Mary Jane was the next evolution, which is ironic. That's more glass guys, but his black pony's black two-door Roadster, and then you're right. There's been a few Roadsters that have come on, on board, and I think what happens is we move so fast, social media wise, that people probably don't even really. They
you
might
don't
not
have the time to enjoy anything.
well, but they might not even understand the that you built it and it goes back in that lineage. Something that's even crazier, and so Carter Hickman did a rendering of a Blazer, and it was a gold. Well, I ended up buying that from Nate. So Nate Porter here in Phoenix, he was going to do the chassis, and then Carter needed the money. So I ended up buying that two-wheel drive Blazer back, I don't know, 20 plus years ago. And then it just didn't work out. But even that rendering alone will get a lot of love. And that's crazy to think that that's been 20 years now. And then your Blazer has been done for at least, I would say 25. Seeing it as a young man at Barrett, or it was probably, no, it was probably Good Guys, to be honest with you. I can't, either way, I can't remember. I remember sitting there at Westworld, and there it is. And it was, lights out.
Well, we took that to Barrett Jackson under all metal and then primed and then painted. So it did go there in all three stages.
So yeah, it was probably Barrett.
That literally was probably a 6 to 8 month build over 3 years because we had to make money in the shop.
Sure.
And that we built for ourselves. So
the owner of that truck never paid us. He's a real jerk.
We got lots of cool stuff we'd love to build, but you got to pay the bills still. So
he never paid us. I just got that because I'm thinking some guy shafted these guys, and you're like, oh, okay, the builder screwed the company out of.